Right, we're live. Welcome. Welcome to the live. Audio on, yeah. All right, cool. So, quick chat about affirmations, right? Might sound a bit woo-woo that. I used to think affirmations were woo-woo. Bullshit. I was listening to, but these days I believe in affirmations because to me an affirmation is like, the way I use an affirmation is it's, I write it down every day in the journal. And it's just a little thing. It's like reminding you of, I use it to remind myself of what my identity is, which is, my main direction, my biggest life goal, you could say. So it's just a little reminder on that big life goal. And you might see that as, let's say, who you are, obviously, but who you're becoming, who you have become, all that kind of thing. And then I was listening to quite a bit of Scott Adams recently, as I mentioned. I've got into him now, on a bit of a roll with it. And one of his big things is affirmations, of course. He believes in affirmations quite a lot. And he has a different way. He says, I found this fascinating. I think his method is probably even better than mine, but I'm going to talk about what he does, what I do, and then what I'm going to do going forward, because I think this is going to change things for me. So as I say, my method of affirmations is to remind myself of my identity. And in the journal every day, there's a little section sort of down here, right? The affirmations that set my state, which is, you always, in a journal, usually write a positive affirmation. So the affirmation that sets your state should be something that prepares you for the day. It's like affirming who you are, setting your like state management. So I'm like affirming my identity, I'm this person or whatever, right? And it's very powerful. Just a little line or a couple of lines just to remind yourself. Really quick entry. Now, Scott Adams' method of doing this, he said he learnt it off a friend that he talks about. You have to listen to his video. But he said, rather than using affirmations to talk about like, I'm a brilliant person and all this, I'm a kind person, that's the kind of classic way of doing an affirmation. Just looking yourself in the mirror and just saying, I am this, I'm that. He said you should use an affirmation that is like affirming something to come true, maybe that day, affirming a result, affirming something to happen. So it's almost like visualization. It's not affirmation of who you are, it's visualization of an event. Hi, welcome to life. So the way he sees it is when he was doing it with this friend of his who was like this scholar or whatever, you'd have to, like I say, you'd have to listen. This person was telling Scott Adams, right, try affirmations, and he didn't believe it and said, right, all you have to do is think about something that is going to happen, that is not likely to happen. Or he said, think about something happening that you know is definitely not going to happen that day. And it might be, there's no point in putting something like go out on a nice hike or go out on a nice walk when you know you plan to go out on a nice hike or a nice walk. It's like put something that is like something that you're aspiring to get that is not likely to happen at that time, right? Not likely to happen that day, and write it down 15 times. Write down what you would like to happen 15 times. And then, strangely enough, a lot of the time, not always, because visualization doesn't always work, but not always does that work, but quite often it does. And there's no point putting something down that you definitely know you're going to do. Really easy. So in my journal, where I talk about doing 3 things a day towards your goals, you're definitely going to do them. That's a separate part of the journal, right? So that's, if you open it up, that's this section here, these 3 things you're definitely going to do, and on there you're going to tick them off. But this section down here, affirmations to set your state, is where you can do it like this, and I am going to do it like this going forward. So I think in Scott Adams' video, he mentioned that the first time he ever did this, he created an affirmation that he was going to go on this date with this particular person, this lady, that was, he said, was way out of his league, right? And he just said, I'm going to go, like, he wrote down, I will go on a date with said person 15 times, that was way out of his league, and there was no realistic possibility of it happening. And it actually happened, because he actually bumped into her, like, it was, I think it was in a big office building or something that he was working, and he actually bumped into her, and they ended up chatting, and next minute, you know, later on that evening, they were on a date. And he started to see strange coincidences. Now, some of this, you know, it's not always going to happen, right? But there's some strange coincidences here. I think firstly, let me just cover this up because it's starting to rain. Firstly, affirmations and anything to do with state management is all about visualizing the future. It's all about focus, right? Mental focus. And I do believe that, like, and this is what Scott says too, half of, like, what he's saying is you can create, we each have our own subjective reality, right? We have this kind of selective focus, and we see things, and we can almost like imagine, we can see the same reality and have two different interpretations about it. And I'm sort of reading about that in NLP at the minute, neuro-linguistic programming. I nearly said natural language processing, because that's tech, isn't it? Software, but no, neuro-linguistic programming. I'm reading about it, that we have these modalities that create our own reality. And this is very important when you think about, it is raining, but I'm going to carry on. Very important when you think about visualization, is that, or any affirmation or anything like that, is that half of everything you get in life, I think, is probably more. If you think about how reality comes into being, there's two parts to it. One is the focus, what you're focused on mentally, and the other one is aligned action. And I do believe that the best way to bring things into being is to first focus on it. And that's where an affirmation comes in, right? And also setting your days with intent, like I do every day. In the morning, do the journal. It's absolutely lashing down now. One day, right, I'm going to get one of these, zzz, you know, like an awning that just projects out from the outs. So I can sit out here in all weather. Because the only time I don't sit out here, I'm all right with a cold, I'm all right with snow or whatever. Sit out here all winter, it's just when it's raining. And I keep meaning to get one of these awnings, just to press a button, and it's good. When it starts raining, I can carry on. The rain subsiding. So yes, in terms of, I think it's really important, like, using affirmations that way. So going forwards, right, when I do my journal, which I'm using to get my goals met and needs met in life, right, it's just a tool that I use every day to set my day with intent. And as part of that, I write down 3 things that I'm going to work on or do, small things that are all working towards what I want. So one of my goals, right? And that can be anything. Like, today's a Sunday, so it's not, you know, a big work day. You know, the 3 things that I wrote down this morning, I've got like one family thing, very important. So it's a family event. I've got to finish an article, which is a work thing, but I've nearly done it. I've just got to drop in a couple of pictures and make it live for my tech business, and then got to do a bit of housekeeping on another thing, right, which is another one of my goals around. Anyway, so every day I set myself 3 things to do. Each one of them might only take 20 minutes. It could take an hour each. If it's on a work day, they might be an hour each, right? And I'm setting my day with intent. I'm focusing on it. That's that focus element. And then the aligned action is actually carrying it out, doing it, and then coming back in my journal and just ticking it off, tick, tick, tick. right? But the other element of it, you've got the gratitude bit, and the other element of it is the affirmation, which I use currently to affirm my identity, which is sits above the goals. Now, going forwards, I'm going to use that affirmation to visualize and affirm one additional thing in the day that is not likely to happen, or there's no obvious sight of it happening, and I'm going to do that. And it has to be small. You know, you can't say, today I'm going to win the lottery, or today I'm going to walk down the street and find, you know, a 6-carat diamond or something crazy like that. Or I'm going to, I don't know, meet. Well, no, actually, it's something that is realistic. You might meet someone that's going to change your life. Might happen if you write it down, you're focused on it. There's something strange about the reticular activation system, that focus. You can create your own reality and bring it into being. If you're spiritual, then you'll know a lot about, you know, like in terms of the spirituality side of being in touch with the universe or something like this. Or even if you're religious spiritual, like, you know, people do this. Now, will it come true? Well, who knows? But all I do, I think about 40% of the placebo effect accounts for 40%. That's worth something. This is why I always, something else which is like a little affirmation that I have, I suppose, is I wander about with this little crystal everywhere I go. I've even got it now. Seen this before. It's a little piece of citron that I carry everywhere. Citron is a crystal for manifesting success and abundance. That's what it's for, right? And to me, does that work? Well, I'm using the placebo effect here, because look at the size of it. I do have a big, massive version of this, but I carry this bit around. It's so small, cost me nothing, and the placebo effect is worth it. And just holding it is like affirming the truth. It's brilliant. So affirmations, use them. Write down something. You could write down today, I'm going to meet someone new today that's going to change my life. And that might be in a business context. You might be, I'm going to meet someone that's going to give me a brilliant idea, give me a wise piece of information, change my life in some way. And you're going to have this massive epiphany. That is realistic, you know. There's no point in putting something like, I'm going to fly to the moon later or something. It's not going to work. But something that is not obviously going to happen, but not out of the question, you know, is worth doing. So I'm going to start doing that. Anyway, hope you like that one. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe. See you all next time. It is raining now, so I'm going to have to shoot. All right, bye-bye.